What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the brand new Mafex Hush Batman. And this is really exciting because, as far as I know, this is the first time that Mafex has given us a comic book version of a DC character. They've done a couple of different Batmans based on different movie versions and stuff like that, but this is the first time that I know of that they've actually given us a comic book version of Batman, and they went with a very specific and popular look, and that's the way that he appeared in the Hush comic book run. So that's pretty cool. I'm very excited about it. So let's go ahead and get into it, starting with the packaging. You are able to see the figure right here. You can see most of his accessories. Here on the side it says Batman Hush, and then down here we get a look at the figure itself. Down at the bottom it says Batman and then Hush in parentheses, Mafex, DC, Medicom, all that stuff. On the side we get a look at the figure itself. On the back, we get a look at the figure doing some cool poses, doing the Jay Hernandez walk right here. Shout out to Jay. And then it shows us a bunch of different accessories and things like that. On this side, it just says Batman Hush. On the top, it says Batman Hush, and then we get a look at the figure. And just like with every other Mafex figure, the packaging is collector friendly, so you are able to remove the figure and put it back in the packaging as you please. But enough about the box. Let's go ahead and take a look at the figure. So here we have Batman right out of the box, and this figure is looking really, really good. I especially like the big dramatic cape with the metal wires in it. All of that came out really nice. The metal wires aren't that thick, but they are strong enough to hold the cape's position when you put it into certain poses. So I think that is super dope. Look at that. You could do all kinds of cool dramatic stuff with it. And you know what I love about this cape is that it takes very minimal effort to make it look cool. You could just kind of like, you know, throw it behind them or just kind of put the wires up however you want, and it still looks kind of cool no matter what you do with it. Even if you're not the best like cape poser, it still all looks very natural, and it looks like it's blowing in the wind. Even though it does have the wires in there, it still looks very good and flowy. So I'm really happy with the way this cape came out. One problem I do have with it though is that sometimes when I'm messing with it, I notice that the metal wires tend to come out from the ends. Not on every end, but just on certain ones. There's this one and one of the other ones too. So it's not really a big deal. You could just kind of push it back where it's supposed to go and you're good to go. You just have to kind of be mindful of that if you're taking pictures. You don't want that to be showing. But you know, that's something that tends to happen with capes that have wires in them, so it's not a huge deal, but it's definitely something to note. And aside from that, I don't really have any big quality control issues on this figure. I do have a very small paint imperfection right in here, and we'll take a look at that when we get in closer, but overall, the figure feels very high quality. The limbs aren't falling off. There's no like loose, the head isn't loose or anything like that. Nothing funny, nothing that people tend to complain about when it comes to Mafex figures. Everything feels very good, and the figure just looks amazing. I just love this thing, man. It came out really, really nice. I love the color blue that they used on the actual sculpted parts. I think the body looks good. The yellow on the belt looks good. Everything about this figure looks nice. But the big like standout with it is this cape. It just came out really good. One thing that I was a little concerned with before I got this figure is the way that the cape kind of fits under this little neck piece. I thought it was going to be a little weird, and I thought it was going to be like a tough transition from the plastic to the soft goods, but it turns out that it looks fine. I think it looks pretty good, and overall the figure just looks amazing. But man, this cape does a lot for it. And I know some people were saying that the cape looks a little big, and I could definitely see where those people are coming from, but honestly, I like how big it is, because you could do like a bunch of crazy dramatic stuff with it. So that is dope. I could definitely understand the argument in saying that maybe a little less material here would have been beneficial to the overall figure, or maybe another wire coming down the back here so that you could bring this up, because as it is now, that kind of dips as the rest of it kind of just flows. But look at that, man. That still looks super dope. You might have to, you know, make these curve a little bit more so they look more natural flowing. But yeah, look at that, man. That is so cool. This has to be one of the best capes on a Batman figure. But let me know what you guys think of this style of cape with the wires. Do you prefer this or no wires, and you just want the cape to flow, you know, just naturally without any wires in it? Which, I mean, for me, ideally, I would love interchangeable capes, but that's not always a possibility. So if I had to choose, I would probably go with wired capes, because you could do so much with it, especially if they're well done like they are right here. So I'm pretty happy with the way this cape turned out. But let's go ahead and get in close and take a look at the details on the figure. Starting off with the head, I think this is a really nice looking head sculpt. I love how you could see all the creases in the mask. It looks very detailed. And then on the side of the head, you could see the ear, and it looks as if it's underneath the mask. So that's nice. And then on the top of the head, we have the little bat ears that look really good. And just check out that facial expression. That looks awesome. So they did a good job with that. And then moving down into the body, the collar piece I feel like could have been done a little better because it looks a little crazy in some spots. It kind of lifts up more than I like it, but it's okay. I think it's kind of a hard thing to achieve, you know, to go from the cloth cape to the plastic piece. So, I mean, they did a pretty good job with it, but I feel like it could have been done a little bit better. And then here we have the bat logo that looks awesome. Check that out. And then the body itself has some really good muscle definition and some very subtle shading in there that makes it look really nice. As you can see right there, I have a small paint imperfection. Not a big deal. I could touch that up with no problem. And then the arms look good. I really like the subtle dark detailing in the muscles. I think that looks dope. And then the glove looks nice. And these little arm spike things are soft plastic. You don't have to worry about them breaking or getting caught on anything. So I like those. And then we have his utility belt that looks really good. Not a whole lot of paint detail or anything, but I think it looks really nice. And then moving down into the legs, not a whole lot going on, but we have some more of that darker shading in there that looks good. The boots look good. Yeah, the figure looks awesome, man. And everything about the figure visually is pretty much spot on and perfect.
And for accessories, Batman does come with a lot of really good stuff, including 7 different sets of hands. So first off, we have a pair of fists. And then for some reason, we have another pair of fists. And then we have a set of gripping hands. And then we have a set of fists that have like claws in between his fingers. And then we have a set of open hands. And then we have another set of open hands, but these ones look a little bit more dramatic, like he's kind of grabbing for something. And then we have a set of hands that have his grappling gun kind of molded into his grip. And then he does come with 2 different accessories for his grappling hook. We have one where the line is kind of extended. And this is cool because it's metal, so you don't have to worry about it warping or anything like that. That is really dope. And then you have another like head of his grappling hook where it kind of looks like it's retracted and it just sits right there into the gun. So those are really cool. I like the fact that they're metal. Those are dope. And then he does come with a couple of different types of batarangs.
And here's a closer look at the 2 batarangs, and both of these are really nice. I do like the way they look. There's not a whole lot going on with them, but they do have a really nice looking metallic paint job. So I think they came out pretty good. And I like that he came with 2 different styles. I think that's dope. And this figure comes with 2 of each of these. And he also comes with 3 different heads. This is the one that we already looked at. It's the one that's on the body in the box. But as I said before, I do like this head sculpt a lot. I can't see anything that I dislike about it. So I think they did a great job with this one. And then next up we have an angry face where he's showing his teeth. And this one looks badass as well. It's equally as detailed. And I think it looks really good. Yeah, they did a great job with it. I can't wait to take some pictures with this one because this one's dope, man. I think both of the masked head sculpts are very well done. I really can't decide which one of the 2 I like more, but... And then next up, we have the unmasked Bruce Wayne head sculpt, and I think this looks really good. I feel like this might be one of the best unmasked head sculpts that we've seen from Mafex. I think they did a great job on this. And it might be one of the best 6-inch Bruce Wayne head sculpts. I don't know. I mean, I don't have all that many Batman figures with unmasked Bruce Wayne heads, but this is one of the best ones that I've seen. I think it looks good. Let me know in the comments if you guys like this head sculpt. Is there a better one out there that maybe I'm not aware of?
And here's a very quick and easy head swap idea if you want to make yourself a really good looking Bruce Wayne figure. What we have here is the Soap Studios Dumbledore with the Mafex Hush unmasked Bruce Wayne head figure on there. And I think this looks really good. I'm actually going to keep this on my Batman shelf because I like the way this turned out. And even though I really like the Soap Studios Dumbledore figure, I'm not really a huge fan of that, you know, Harry Potter prequel stuff, so I don't necessarily need Dumbledore on my shelf, so I'm okay sacrificing him to make a good Bruce Wayne figure, because check this out, I think this came out really nice. Unfortunately, the head doesn't pop on, so it's just kind of on there with some tack, but if I really wanted to, I could probably modify something to, you know, make it more permanent, but I think, you know, I'm fine with this. I'm not really going to be posing it up or doing anything crazy. I just want like a cool looking Bruce Wayne to hang out with my Batman figures, but I think this achieves that, so I like this a lot. Alright, so now for some very quick size comparisons. Here we have the Hush Batman alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Classic Superman and the Mezco 112 Collective Dark Knight Returns Batman. And as you can see, this Superman actually looks pretty good next to this Hush Batman. If anything, he might just be a little too short, but I think for the most part, they scale pretty well with each other. But, you know, it doesn't really matter because Mafex is coming out with their own Hush Superman pretty soon anyway, so we'll have a Superman to go along with this Batman. Hopefully they scale well with each other. And then over here, the Dark Knight
Knight Returns Batman is kind of it's kind of big, but you know, that's like a stylistic choice. But I really love seeing these very specific versions of a character done like this. Like obviously this is the Jim Lee Hush Batman, and this is the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns Batman. That is so cool. I really hope to see Mafex continue with this kind of stuff. And Mezco. I think Mezco would make a really nice Hush Batman. So hopefully one day they'll get around to doing more like comic faithful stuff like they did here with this one. But anyways, like I said, I do feel like Hush Batman works pretty good with Superman here. And then next up, we have Batman alongside the Mezco 112 Collective Commissioner Gordon and the Mezco 112 Collective Joker. And I think Batman scales pretty well with both of them. Yeah, I think he looks really good with them, actually. So if you want to do something there, that'll definitely work in my opinion. And then next up, we have Batman alongside the DC Icons Nightwing and the DC Icons Harley Quinn. And I actually think that both of those figures look really good with this Mafex Hush Batman. I know the DC Icons was trying to be pretty close to like true 6-inch scale, which meant that they were a little bit smaller than domestic figures, but they look really good next to imports. And I think they look awesome next to this Hush Batman. And then now here we have Batman alongside the NECA DC vs. Dark Horse Superman and the DC Essentials Red Hood. And yeah, these are both definitely too big to hang out with this Mafex Batman. But speaking of Red Hood, how cool would a Mafex Red Hood figure be? I think that would be dope. And then now here we have him alongside the McFarlane Toys White Knight Batman and the McFarlane Toys Curse of the White Knight Azrael. And this is more like artist specific stuff, so this is really cool to see together. And just for a random comparison, we have Batman alongside the Marvel Legends Warpath and the Mezco 112 Collective Orlok. And then next up, we have Batman alongside the G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Island Roadblock and the Hasbro Lightning Collection Lord Dracon. And then now here we have Batman alongside the comic book Mafex Spider-Man, and he's rocking a couple of the Toying Around Spider Sense effects. So shout out to Toying Around. Those things are really dope. They add a lot to that figure, but I'll leave a link to his Instagram in the description below if you want to check him out. And then on the opposite side of that, we have the Mafex Cyclops. And yeah, all three of these figures look nice. It's so cool to have like such high quality versions of these characters, you know. A lot of us Spider-Man fans have kind of been spoiled with this Mafex one, and it's cool that people that love Batman, who's probably the second greatest hero of all time behind Spider-Man, finally have a figure that's just as good as, or almost just as good as the Mafex Spider-Man. That's right, I said it. Spider-Man is the greatest superhero of all time, over Batman, over Superman. That's right, I'm gonna stand next to that forever. Anyways, moving on. And to finish off the size comparisons, we have Batman alongside the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. But yeah, this Batman figure is just a really good scale. Not too small, not too big. He's a really good size. So I think people are going to be very happy with how he's going to fit in with your other 6-inch figures out there. And just like most Mafex figures, Batman does have a really good amount of articulation, and let's go ahead and take a look at that. Starting off with the head, it does move side to side. He does have that typical import style head and neck setup where we have movement where the upper neck meets the head and where the lower neck meets the torso, but the lower section of that is kind of hindered by the cape collar thing. Not so much, but it's not as free as it is at the upper neck section, so that's where you're going to get most of your movement. It does go side to side. He can tilt his head a really good amount. And he can look up to about right there. So as you can see, the lower neck section is a little hindered by that collar piece. But he can look down a really good amount. And when you're moving his head and neck down, the collar piece doesn't really have an effect on the lower neck area. So as you can see, he could look way down and bury his chin into his chest there. So that's pretty good. And then for the torso, we have a ball joint at the diaphragm and then a ball joint at the waist. And using both of those together, we get some really good range going forward. Check that out. Most of that is pretty much coming from the waist. I mean, the diaphragm cut is helping a little bit, but most of that movement that you see is from the waist. So that's a pretty good, let me get his arms out of the way here. That's a pretty good ab crunch. Check that out. And when you push it forward that much, you have to be careful bringing it back because the lower back piece kind of gets caught on his underwear piece, I guess you could call it. But yeah, so you just have to be careful. You have to just kind of press it down and then bring it up again. But yeah, that range going forward is really good. Then you get some side to side, again, mostly from the waist. You are able to twist them, and the twist happens at the diaphragm there. You can twist at the waist, but it's a little bit easier to do it at the diaphragm. And let's see here. Also, going back is mostly done by the diaphragm. Check that out. So he can move back a pretty good amount. And the cape is kind of getting in the way of what I'm trying to show you. But there you go. As you can see, it goes back a pretty good amount. And yeah, I really like this torso setup. I'm surprised by how much crunch he gets just from that waist piece. That's really good. So good stuff there. And then for the arms, we have the typical Mafex style shoulder setup where it's kind of like a butterfly joint. Damn, mine sounds really tight in there. That kind of makes me nervous. But yeah, it's kind of like a butterfly joint. And then it does go all the way around. Dang, you hear how squeaky that is? So that's pretty good. Damn, that's super scary, isn't it? But it did go all the way around. It does come out to the side to about right there. So if you want to get Batman into some like crazy jumping through the window kind of poses or something like that, that's definitely possible. Probably not the best pose ever, right? But yeah, his arms go up a pretty good amount. And then he does have upper bicep swivel. He's got really nice double jointed elbows to get a good bend. And then he has ball joints at the wrist, so his hands can swivel and hinge, and you could do pretty much whatever you need to do with the hands. So that's dope. And then for the legs, we do have drop down hips. And when you drop his hips down, they come out to about right there. They come forward to about right there. So that's pretty nice, actually. And then he does have upper thigh swivel. And I like the way that Mafex does their upper thigh swivels. I wish McFarlane Toys would start doing something like this, because obviously they don't have the cut in the thigh right here, but you still get some pretty good movement side to side. So I think that's dope. And then he does have double jointed knee, which works really good. And then at the foot, we have a ball joint, so it can swivel side to side. It could come forward to about right there. It could come up to right there. And then you have some rocking action, and then you have a toe bend. And I really like the way they do the ankle joints on Mafex figures, because they add a little extra piece of plastic on the side so you don't really see the joint. You don't see that ball joint, which a lot of people consider ball joints ugly. So it's cool that they cover it up like that. On this side, it's not covered up, so you could still get them into like a crazy pose like that, you know, if you need to. But, you know, just looking at him from the outside, you don't see the ball joints. But yeah, the articulation on this guy is awesome. Like I said, I'm getting a little nervous with this arm. I'm going to have to work on that a little bit, see if I could free it up before it some kind of tragedy happens here. But yeah, the articulation on this guy is really, really good. So I'm very happy with what we have going on here.
So, overall, I really love this figure. I think that Mafex did a great job with it. The figure itself is very well done. The sculpting work is nice. The muscles look good. The proportions look good. The bat logo looks nice. The belt looks good. The colors, everything about the way the figure looks is pretty much perfect. I love the articulation on it as well. There's a lot of really good stuff you could do. All the joints have pretty good range, and there's no like hindrances. You could pretty much get this figure into any kind of pose that you'd want Batman to get into. So that's very well done. The accessories are good too. I like all the hands that he comes with. I'm surprised by how many hands he comes with. It's like 7 sets or something. So that's nice. And the grappling hooks are really cool too. I especially like the one that looks like it's shot out with that metal rod, because then you can make it look like he's shooting it without it sagging or anything. Like usually companies would just use a string for something like that, but Mafex did something different, and I think it worked out good. And then all 3 head sculpts are really nice. Like I said, I can't really decide which one of the masked head sculpts I like the most, but both of them are good. And then the unmasked Bruce Wayne head looks really good too, so I'm very happy to finally be able to put myself together a really good looking Bruce Wayne with that head. And then last but not least, we have the cape. I think the cape is awesome, but I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this thing, because I love the way it looks. I like how it's dynamic and you could do all kinds of cool things with it. I like the metal wires in it, but I wish the metal wires were a little bit thicker so that they felt a little bit more durable, because I feel like if I mess with this too much, one of those things might snap or something might happen. One problem I'm already having is that the metal wires don't stay in place under the collar piece. So mine fell out. The wires are like flopping all over the place, and that's very frustrating. It's really only happened with the 2 middle wires, not the ones on the outside. And honestly, I was able just to glue them down, and now, you know, it's done and I'm happy with it and I'm able to enjoy the figure completely. But it was pretty frustrating to have to deal with those wires falling all over the place. And hopefully that's not something that a lot of people experience. My boy Ace, aka Animated Heroes, said that one of his wires had that issue at one point, but you know, he was able to deal with it, and he's fine. For me, my wires came out and I couldn't get them back in there, and I couldn't get them to stay, so I had to glue them down. But like I said, I did it, it's done, and I'm happy with the figure. But that's something that needs to be noted, because a lot of people are going to say, you know, this is the best Batman ever. It just might be. I might agree with that opinion, but I still wanted to put my full experience out there and let people know that, you know, I did have some issues with mine. I was able to take care of them, but, you know, you might have some issues right out of the box. Nothing major, but for me, it was something that I had to fix. Now that it's done, end of story. But anyway, at the end of the day, I do love this figure, and I think that Mafex did a great job with it, and I'm really happy to finally have some DC comic stuff from Mafex. Hopefully they continue down this road. I know they already have a bunch of Hush stuff announced, and we should be seeing that, you know, in the next year or so, but hopefully they keep it going. But I really can't wait to get the Hush Superman and the Hush figure. I think those are going to be really dope, so I look forward to picking those up. But anyways, I think it's time to get out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you get notified when I go live. The lives have been really fun. Now I'm doing them 2 nights a week. I'm doing them every Tuesday night and every Friday night. As of right now, it's in the evening. The time is kind of shifting depending on what I have going on. But Tuesdays are always going to be at 7 p.m. So that's pretty much set. But then Fridays, I'm kind of trying to work out the time. I'm trying to see what's best, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, or 8 o'clock. But yeah, we'll see. Anyways, hit the bell notification so you know what's up with the lives. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Peace.